We want to welcome you all to the 47th season of Lincoln Center Out of Doors, and we are so thrilled you're all here with us today. And we're very happy that you're here, especially on this historic event, which we are co-presenting with the Women of Color in the Arts in association with the National Double Dutch League. I want to take a quick moment to thank our official partners, American Airlines, Nespresso, New York Presbyterian, and Pepsi Zero Sugar for their support for the Summer of Lincoln Center. Also a thanks to Zabars and Zabars.com. And we're just so thrilled that you can be here. And something that is so special that we love to do at Lincoln Center Out of Doors, of course, we're bringing great performances. Sometimes what makes the performances even more special and deep is to learn about the history and the whys and the context of why we're doing these performances, why we're inviting the performers to be here, and why they're important, and what the history is. And I want now to introduce Kaisha Johnson, who is the founding director of the Women of Color in the Arts. She has done an incredible amount of work. She had a complete love for Double Dutch and a complete feel for Double Dutch, but the amount of work that she has put into this, the amount of love that she's put into this, of being able to uncover the story and present the story and making sure that we have the story right here at Lincoln Center. I just cannot even tell you how grateful I am to all the work that she's put in. So help me welcome my friend Kaisha Johnson to the stage.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. Thank you to the staff and crew of Lincoln Center. This has been quite the production, getting to the production. Till the street lights come on, celebrating Double Dutch in New York City. It's incredible. I don't know if you guys know the history, but 33 years ago, there was a huge competition that happened on this center in the plaza. For 10 years. It went on for 10 years, from 1974 to 1984. And we're going to see a documentary that chronicles one particular competition in 1981. But it was so amazing to see these young people of color out on the plaza. It was the grand takeover. And I really wanted to bring that back to Lincoln Center. I really wanted to reclaim this cultural space. And you're welcome. And I really wanted to honor those women that were the pioneers of this sport. And more than a sport, it's an art form. And we wanted to make sure that it was positioned here at Lincoln Center as such, as part of our cultural practice. And when I say our, I'm speaking as a Black woman, Black American woman. So that was so integral to the development of this program, and I'm so happy to have you all here. We have so many different events. Who was out on the plaza jumping? What? I should have heard like everybody say, yeah, I was out there. Tomorrow we have, what do we have going on? We have the big competition. We have a concert that's merging Double Dutch and hip hop. And if you don't know the history there, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And one very special thing is that we have an oral history project that's going on, hoping to preserve the legacy of Double Dutch. So on the plaza, you'll find tents, and inside the tents, you can go have an interview, talk about your history and your relationship to Double Dutch, what it means to you. Those stories are going to be archived by the New York Folklore Society with the hopes that we get it into a larger cultural institution like the Library of Congress. So our history is going to live on forever. So thank you for being here. Our first panel discussion is really going to be talking about the impact and influence of Double Dutch on the arts. And I want to welcome to the stage our panelists. Where are our panelists? Hey, panelists, come on board. We have Anna Rockefeller Garcia, pioneering B-girl, for y'all don't know. Yeah. You can sit wherever you want. We have Monique Martin, culture curator, director of programming at Harlem Stage. And we have Teresa Ruth Howard. Shout out to Teresa. She's been really instrumental in getting me to this place right now. Former dancer and the director of Memoirs of Blacks in Ballet. Also an advisor to Camille A. Brown's piece that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So I want to play something for you guys first. If you could roll the footage.
Once upon a time, there was a festival in Brooklyn, a celebration of American black dance. There were choreographers and dancers from the biggest and the oldest companies to the smallest and newest. From Harlem, from Broadway, from dance theaters across the country, from the streets. Come, join us, applaud the greats, replay the highs, see what's new. It's a great party. It's not over yet.
That was a clip of Dance Black America, a festival that was curated by dear WOCA member Mickey Shepard, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but she sends her regards, in 1983. And to my understanding, Mickey was very intent on putting black dance on the stage, all of the social dances to show the evolution and the lineage of this cultural tradition, and positioning Double Dutch was really integral to her vision and her design to position our culture on the stage as an art form. And that happened at BAM. You can watch the full documentary, which aired on PBS. It was hosted by Jeffrey Holder. It was a big deal, and it still is. The Dance Black America Festival was the predecessor to Dance Africa, as many of you might know. So, we'll look at my notes here. And in that clip was the Jazzy Jumpers. Are the Jazzy Jumpers in the house? No? Do y'all know who the Jazzy Jumpers are? Okay. All right. So I really wanted to talk to these ladies about how Double Dutch has been felt throughout their work. And I want to start with, how do you think that Double Dutch is played out in the streets and the stages through musical and dance traditions? Rockefeller, I know that you have a very unique point of view as a native New Yorker.
Yeah, I think when we had that conversation in the conference call, some things really sparked in my mind about when I was younger, and I grew up in East Harlem in Taft Projects, and then we moved to the Bronx, and I remember watching Double Dutch, and then trying to get in, trying to get down, and it wasn't easy. There was like rules of engagements that I had to learn. It was like this social thing where I had to figure out how to get in with the in girls, with the cool girls. They were older, they had it going on, they had the outfits, they had the rope. And so how do I get in? And so at a young age, I was learning how to socialize and how to work with the hierarchy, even as an 8-year-old or as a 9-year-old. And so I think that was one of the things that gave me the blueprint for when I was going to jump in a circle for hip hop, which is the same thing. You better be good if you're jumping in a circle where the dancers are amazing. You have to get to know who is the regular, who's the star, and start to make your way. How do you conversate with those people, you know? And so for me, Double Dutch laid down the foundation for who I was going to become as this, like, you know, B-girl, you know, veteran dancer. But for me, in the 80s, everybody remembers breakdance being like the kickoff, the jump off of hip hop. And it was pretty much male dominated, right? We can all agree that that was kind of like the boys getting down. And there were a few girls, I never take away, credit from the girls who were there at the beginning, but around maybe late 80s, right, to the 90s with, the onset of Mary J. Blige and stuff, the girls were here. They were in the circles, they were starting to push the trends that were happening, and the styles weren't on the floor. They were up styles, and they were jumpy to me. They were up. Almost, and I hate to compare it to that because someone had tried to disrespect the dance by saying, oh, hip hop is like aerobics, which is not in any way, but it was jumpy. And so I feel like, for me, it was similar to jumping double dutch. It was similar to being up and, having that double bounce. And so I had told you guys that I felt like Lindy Hop, African dance, of course, has that double bounce. And so here we go, and we're bringing that forth again. And so some of the steps that we did, were up, jumping. Of course, they had like 4 count, but it was, for me, it was just the girls saying, we're here. You guys had your time, love you, respect. This is our time. And when you look at how the globe was now copying what we were doing, I feel like women now had the spotlight. And so that's just something I want to say that comes from double dutch, even though it comes from way, way back. It comes from yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So can we talk a little bit about double dutch's relationship to hip hop? Because a lot of people don't know the history, and we have some people in the house that really helped pioneer and cement this relationship. I know with Fantastic Four, where are you? There you are. So many people don't know that in 1982, I believe, 1982, Fantastic Four went out on tour with African Bambaataa and the Rocksteady crew.
The Fresh Fest. What? What's going on? The First Timers? The Tigers.
The Tigers.
Represent. I like that.
Yes. Yeah, so they traveled to Paris, France with Fab Five Freddy. And it was before Fab Five Freddy made the Wild Style. Y'all know that documentary? And there's some documents that say that he was interviewed and he said, like, had he known that hip hop was going to be hip hop, he would have really cemented double dutch as a part of the culture because it was intrinsic to who we were, who they were, and creating at that time. So I think it's really important to mention that. And actually, the Rocksteady crew is being celebrated at Summer Stage
tomorrow.
This is their
weekend. Yep, this is their weekend. There's a battle tonight.
Yeah, so the double dutches were physically positioned alongside the B-girls and the B-boys, right? On the club floor, really highlighting New York street culture, which was New York black and brown urban culture at that time. And I just think that's so amazing. Such an amazing history that's forgotten, but we need to, when we talk about, the lineage of our cultural traditions, like this needs to be mentioned. So I want to bring up, we're talking about the lineage and history of social dance. Are you guys familiar with Camille A. Brown, choreographer and dancer? Yes. So I'm going to run that clip. I have a short clip to run.
Get the rhythm of the rhythm of the rhythm of that. Get the rhythm of the hip. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. High, they touch the sky, sky, sky.
So Teresa Ruth Howard was an advisor to Camille Brown on this piece. You want to talk about it?
It still gives me chills. I mean, it's so good. Yeah, what's interesting to me about this particular piece of Camille's, first of all, she's an incredible researcher and student of history, and she is committed to presenting, preserving, and elevating the lineage of history through movement and social dance, which, you know, a lot of what black folk do seems real simple. I mean, it's simple. It's like, oh, it just comes out of your body. But it's profound, and it's deep, and it is historic. And sometimes that's not acknowledged. This piece in particular, I went to see at the Joyce, finally. I've been working with her. I see videos and we talk about it, and I'm sort of like her sounding board in ways. And I walked into the theater, and I had no intention of writing about it because I'm her friend, so it's not right. But when I saw what was on the stage, I said, I really have to write about what I saw, because culturally it's so specific, it's so loaded, that I knew invariably most critics would probably miss the nuance of what she was getting at. And I knew this because in the theater, before the lights go down, you take, you know, the makeup looks sort of like this, right? So it's very diverse. But when certain things happen on the stage, you heard, we were acknowledging that code. And if you don't know the code, then you can't speak on the code. You miss it. And it's not anybody's fault, but that's how our work tends to get reduced down and simplified as not being sophisticated or whatever. So the rhythms that she's doing in here, like, you recognize, there's a reggae beat that dropped. She went all in it. I'm like, I don't even know how she does it. She goes all in and out of the things that we're familiar with, present day, but she takes it all the way back to Africa, into the Jube, where it originated. And I wanted to express that. And so for part of a panel like this or a discussion like this, it's about the concept of the things that are culturally specific to us being elevated as high forms of art. So when you look at the set and it's that chalk, you know, it's like you scribble on the concrete. By writing that wall, she instantly elevated street scribblings to high art. And I think that that's really, really, it's simple in the way that you go, oh, wow, changing your positioning, but it's really profound and important, because I think that oftentimes it gets missed. There's the hashtag, you know, hashtag Black Girl Magic, but I think we should really open that up. It's Black girl genius, intelligence, it's an innate sensibility, it is the rhythm in our speak, you know, it is all those things that kind of culminate into, be it double dutch or hip hop, music or dance. And I think that that's part of what she was trying to capture and present, in addition to the humanity of black little girls, which oftentimes gets stripped away and stripped down into something completely other.
Yeah, for sure. So we talk about this elevating double dutch, elevating black social dance to a place where people can consider it as this high art form. Monique, you want to speak to that? I know that you have presented double dutch on stage when you were at Summer Stage, at New York City Summer Stage, and other places. And
I want to start by saying I'm from Oakland, California, and double dutch was popping out there as well. Without knowing that the origins of it, that it actually started in New York City on the streets. We just, you know, somebody started doing it, and we all started doing it. So for me, it is beautiful, this whole festival, and to unpack all of the layers that go into this art form and to celebrate this art form. Presenting, I want to first also just touch on what you said about Black Girl Magic and that hashtag. And oftentimes when we hear the word magic, it's like abracadabra came from where? And the DNA and ancestral memory that comes with Black Girl Magic is part of what is in Camille's piece that you spoke about, and also where Double Dutch comes from. When I think about all of the layers of it, the rope, the timing, precision, if you don't jump in, that was my biggest hurdle, is just jumping in, you know, and it'd be like, go already, you know. I mean, that right there is a feat to jump in. And so when you think about just the rhythm of that and the, everybody has their place. Some people are just turners. They love to turn. Some people can flip. Some people can do tricks. Some people can speed, you know, so that's dance. That's contemporary circus. That's athleticism. That it's so many pieces of it that we often don't think about. So when we unpack Black Girl Magic, we need to think about all of that. So as a presenter, bringing Double Dutch to New York City parks across the 5 boroughs with Summer Stage, with Double Dutch Dreams and Sister Malika Lee Whitney's project, that, yep, clap, clap. What she wanted to do that we kind of wrestled with is to bring the history, because as we present in parks, and we're known for music primarily and dance and theater, and I wanted to add the Double Dutch element to the festival, she says, no, we have to also do the history. We need a place where people can come and share their experiences. And I was like, people don't want to do all that. They just want to come and jump. And it was amazing to see all of the stories that came out. And folks wanted to talk about their history with Double Dutch. They also wanted to share with their children, because oftentimes, you know, a parent is there with their family and they had never shared their experience with their children. So now the child you know, is seeing their mother or their father, you know, double dutching, and they're like, I didn't know you could do that, you know, and so that was an important element that I really appreciated that she insisted on, and so that it's more looking at the community aspect of Double Dutch and not just the physical part of it. So they all came together, and it was a huge success all over the city.
That community, that physicality, those are all like attributes and characteristics that we talk about when we're talking about Double Dutch. I wonder though, when we talk about its artistic leanings, what does that mean for you? What constitutes art, and what makes this art?
I also wanted to add, as a response, and just thinking the song too, because it's call and response.
Yes.
So all of that comes together, and it's not like you go to a workshop and learn to sing, you learn it right there, you know, and that was another, some people were good with the song. Mm-hmm. Some people were good leading the song. So in terms of,
what constitutes art?
Art is when your heart is cracked open and you feel good, you know, and that's what I see as a spectator and also someone who participated. That's art, you know, and so we can say high art, we can say low art, we can say side art, but when you feel good and when you're transformed in some way, obviously you're transformed, just the endorphins that come if you're in there jumping, you feel high coming, you know, out of the Double Dutch, and you also, it's beautiful to witness, you know, the beauty of that art form and the jumping and the timing, because the double time, you know, and there's no one saying, okay, now we're going double time, or you know, sometimes it's just, they just start turning and it's like, oh, okay. So I think art is when you have an experience, my definition, that transforms you in some way.
I'm thinking from a dancer perspective. You go, okay, what do you do in a studio? You know, in what elements does something like double dutch or double dutching have in common? I mean, the call and response. It's improvisational. It builds like a choreography, right? You take a step, you have one step, and you go like, what would happen if we did this, or let's try that. So it's spontaneously creative, and it has this wonderful thing of like, if that doesn't work, then let's try something else. And some people are the innovators, the ones that be like, well, try to flip over her head. And then there's the one that's like, are you crazy? And then there's the daredevil who's like, I'll do it. And then it works, and you work it out, and you build, and it's crafted. And you may not see it being crafted, but it is. It takes time and effort and imagination to put that together. And whether that's you're building a professional team, but professional teams came about because there were just girls on the street that were trying to entertain themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Or go around the corner to the other street and jump those girls down. You know, like, I'll say the
Not jump
fabulous
them.
four.
Definitely not jump them, but.
Right, so I think that is art. You know, it's creativity. It's just raw creativity.
And I wanted to say just that as my parents moved a lot, and everywhere we went, there were different girls that were jumping, and there was just something unique about each set of girls. You know, they weren't doing the same thing downtown that they were doing in the Bronx. They weren't doing the same thing in the Bronx that they were doing on the West Side. You know, and so I think that constitutes art, because I can't do the same thing she's doing. It's just, how do I stand out? And yet belong, right? Because we want to belong. We're still two ropes, still jumping. But how am I standing out so that I can be remembered? So I can be like, that girl right from there, she's kind of good with it, right? Or I want her on my team. And so I think that art also has a way of giving you signature, so that the way I do it is like the way nobody else does it. And I really I'm looking to be that unique person. And so imagine if every group of like double Dutch jumpers are unique. That's a whole lot of vocabulary. It's a whole lot of history. It's and she's saying spontaneous because maybe at that moment Monique is jumping, something just hits her, and she's like, I'm gonna touch my shoe and go. And then everybody's like, how'd she do that? But she never did that before. So the spontaneous aspect
But there's
is
also
there.
technique in it. Like, there's the basic step. Like, because I'm a ballet dancer, and I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, what are the foundations of those things? There's like the technique, and then there's style, right? So everybody's doing ballet, but you could be Russian style, English style, whatever. That's what you're saying. You're saying we're all double dutching, but everybody has their own style, their own flavor. And if ballet is ballet is a social dance, so if that's considered art, right, then why not a double dutch or stepping or things like that? The only difference is that something like ballet was done in the court, so it's who's doing it, right? It's not really what they're doing, it's really who's doing it.
I wanted to just speak on the improvisation, and when we look at the tradition of Black culture and jazz and hip hop, and you know, the innovation and also the improvisation. So it's a through line through all, and that connects the art part of it to your question, because, you know, as you said, someone just does something that you've never seen before through the feeling that they have, or the rhythm of the ropes, or the sun in their eye, or, I mean, there's just so many factors that then in the moment you innovate.
Improvisational aspect. So like the significance of this art form being here at Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center, which is considered the high nexus of high art, right? What does that feel like?
I mean, I think for me, you know, a long time ago somebody has said, you know, it don't matter if you get a New York Times review. It's just in the hood that they respect you. Right? Because I was like, oh my God, my name is in the New York Times from some show I did. And my friends were like, I don't even read the New York Times. And somebody was like, yeah, who cares? It don't matter if you're in the New York Times. Like, it's just the hood. But it does matter, because it just gives you that extra head nod, you know? Like, ooh, people outside are saying they're dope. So it is significant that Lincoln Center would say, come on back. Y'all were here, come on back. But with that same breath, we would continue jumping and dancing regardless, you know, if they didn't open the doors, you know, because we need to do this. We love to do this. But it's just nice when you get that extra, you know, you walk down the street, someone's like, nice shoes. You're like, ooh, yes, thank you. Makes your day. So I think it's significant.
But it's also, that's currency as well. Like, that's why it's important. Like, you know, you're still gonna jump, you're still gonna dance, you know, you're still gonna do what you do. You're gonna live your life the way you're gonna live it. But in reality, in the larger,
The big picture.
right, in the macro, it's currency. It means that someone says, oh, you belong somewhere. We should, like, that this is art, so that means that you are bookable, that you are fundable. So it ends up being, if you're going to be a part of the art world, you need that validation. It is real currency, and so to not to have access to those platforms, it means something. It means something to acknowledge where you are, and it means something to acknowledge where you are not. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that you're not okay if you're not in those places, or if you're better off if you are. I mean, that's, you know, whatever happens. But if we are not a part of a certain platform, and we are talented and magical and creative and genius and all that, then why not? And so that's why it becomes important to enter those spaces, you know, and hold court, because it means something on the larger.
Now that you say that, it makes me feel also like, I just gotta say it, that like black girls aren't a threat. That black girls aren't gonna come in and tag up your bathroom. That black girls aren't gonna start a fight. You know, it like adds some sort of like acceptance that we are cool. We're okay. You can have us at Lincoln Center. We ain't gonna like mess up. We ain't gonna break up the place. And I remember feeling like that with breakdance. And people were like, "Oh, breakdancers are coming. Oh my God, we gotta wash the furniture." I'm not gonna break your lamp. Give me a space to breakdance, and I'll be right there. But there was always this like big fear of like, these street kids are coming. We're coming, and we're going, and everything's okay. And you're gonna be fine. And, you know, you don't gotta like, you know. So I think that it is nice to feel like, okay, this is a group of people who are gonna dance, they're gonna do an art, they're gonna do a sport, and everything's gonna be fine. We're safe. So I just want to say that. I feel like, yeah, if we can enter this place, then everybody's like, oh, well, this group of people are cool.
But doesn't it also say something about like we are American culture. We're a part of American culture too. So it's like, that's the other part about it, is that in order to be accepted and acknowledged as a part of valuable, you know, large, we can be, contribute largely to American culture. And so when you're not, that's culture there, right? In Lincoln Center, you know, Kennedy Center, all those big, that's American culture. And so, you know, it should reflect the spectrum, right, of America.
Accepted by whom?
America.
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 I think it's perfect timing, as you know, the political climate that we're in, about division and separation, and this side against that side, and who belongs, who doesn't, where's the equity. When this festival started in the 70s, which I'm learning about this history, Lincoln Center wasn't what we know Lincoln Center is today. So it wasn't a surprise, you know, to have Double Dutch as part of it. I mean, look at the history, the time. It was 10 years. what else has Lincoln Center or any other institution done for 10 years like this? That was an investment. So to bring it back now, at this time, with everything that we're wrestling with in terms of identity and equity, is brilliant and perfect timing. And kudos to Lincoln Center and everyone who's coming on board.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize the American Double Dutch League, who brought the competition here to Lincoln Center. And fortunately enough, it was embraced here, and it had its long run, but it was those people, those founders, David Walker and Ulysses Grant, who brought this competition here. And I've gone down the Double Dutch rabbit hole, as you say, over the past year, just doing research and reading the history, digging in the Lincoln Center archives and the archives at BAM and the New York Public Library archives, just really trying to get a hold on what happened here and what was happening during this time in our city. And it's really interesting, we talk now very clearly about, well, like you said, Monique, about equitable resources and making sure that we are engaging and reaching all kinds of audiences. And I think that there was an element of wanting to be engaged with community that happened here at Lincoln Center at that time. But it was really these men that really championed it coming here. So we definitely have to give recognition to them. I lost my train of thought because I was gonna say something else. I did want to mention a lot of people have been asking me about the title, Till the Streetlights Come On, right? And some of you may know what that means, but we want to give reference. Let's see, my mom is in the house. Hi, Mom. She may or may not know, but my summers were spent in the Bronx on Valentine Avenue, and my aunt would allow us to stay up playing double dutch, all other kinds of street games, till the street lights came on, right? And when those street lights came on, you had to go into the house. Today is actually the anniversary of her death, my late Aunt Ernestine Williams, and she was really inspirational in my love of double dutch. So I want to pay homage to her, but people have been asking, till the street lights come on. Some of you know already what that means, and those of you that didn't. Okay, so we are at 2:40. I think we can open it up if there are questions from the audience. Do we have roving mics?
Magic.
Anybody question?
I saw the double dutch performances at Lincoln Center. It's an elegant art form. But I also asked the question to one of the performers, in my lifetime, will it ever make it to the Olympics? Because I saw unbelievable, it was like watching God perform. The physicality of the sport is Olympic worthy from what I saw and what I will be seeing tomorrow. And I was told that double dutch is now international, big time. So hopefully in our lifetime it will make it to the Met, as well as to the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, who is Lauren in the house? Lauren Walker, she want to speak to the double dutch going to the Olympics? Yeah.
Can you repeat that? Can we get a mic to her so we can hear that? she's responding to the question of,
We
will
needed more
Double Dutch go
countries
to
to
the...
get involved for it to go to the Olympics. We didn't have enough countries involved. Right, that was after a couple of years, but Japan is still in it, but we needed more countries for it to go to the Olympics. They've been trying to get it to the Olympics since the beginning. Yes. So we need more people to get involved and push it and kind of spread the word and, you know, help us out.
Well, I hope that that does happen. I know in 2018, not that this has to do with Double Dutch, but the Youth Olympics in Argentina will finally include kids breakdance. And it took a lot to get it to the Olympics. So it is no simple feat, but slowly it's coming. And it really does take global, like she said, global participation and push. So I do hope it gets there.
Yeah, so we talk about Double Dutch going international. You know, it gained its feet here, of course, in New York City and all the other urban centers, Philly, D.C., Chicago, Oakland. Now I'm learning that y'all had it out there too. So we're talking about it spreading its wings outside of these urban centers, going across seas, overseas, gaining international and quote-unquote mainstream. Yeah, in quote-unquote mainstream recognition.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mrs. Walker, David Walker's wife, founder and the creator of Double Dutch. He was the one that had Double Dutch come to Lincoln Center. If it wasn't for him and his team of people, you wouldn't know about it today, or these ladies wouldn't be sitting here. Yes, we are going to take it on to the Olympics, and we're working very hard. It is international. We have traveled to Japan, Germany, Holland, Spain, France, Dubai, Hong Kong, London, many times. We have been all over the world, and it has been accepted in such a great way, and I'm so thankful. But while I'm standing here, I'd also like to thank Lincoln Center for having us here, inviting us back. It is such an honor. Look for Double Dutch in the Olympics. It's coming. Thank you. Thank you, Lincoln Center.
That's history. Was there another question out there?
No? You just turn your hand like that. Oh, never mind. Put your hand down.
Who has the microphone? Was there someone over there?
There's one over there. She's running laps.
As a kid who lived in Harlem on St. Nicholas Avenue near West 124th Street, growing up chubby and having asthma, I did every kind of exercise there was to do. And what people have to really recognize is how the African American community living in sometimes substandard conditions and them horrible tenement buildings, that young girls come out there on the sidewalk and that jumping keeps them heart healthy. If it does nothing else, it builds strength as well as character. And for us to be able to go to the Olympics would be just thrilling. That would be wonderful, because there's some young kids out there, some Asian kids, and they are ass kicking over there jumping Double Dutch today, okay? So we don't fall down on the game, girls. As we used to say, all in together, girls. How do you like the weather, girls?
I grew up in the 80s in the Bronx, and we were always in the street playing Double Dutch. My twin sisters, younger than I, were called the Double Dutch Twins, and they competed internationally. They were 12 years old when they went to Amsterdam, and they attribute staying out of trouble to having Double Dutch in their lives in an important way. So my question, though, is I've been trying to bring it to, I'm an educator in the Bronx, and I've been trying to bring it to our school. Is there an organization that you can point us to? The National Double Dutch League?
Sure, the National Double Dutch League.
Locally, but they'll
House.
come to the Bronx and work with kids in the Bronx? Yeah? Okay. I got my answer right here.
Hi, I'm Kiva. I started jumping double dutch in 1976. I was a 1977 world champion. And you asked the question about, is double dutch in education? Well, yes, it is, because I'm the commissioner for the New York City Department of Education PSAL double dutch program. So double dutch has made it to the high schools. And so they also have a program called the CHAMPS program, in which double dutch is in the middle schools. So double dutch is there. I know this is something that David wanted. He wanted double dutch in school. He wanted double dutch recognized as a sport, not just some girls playing tricks. And at PSAL, that is what we do. We are keeping his dream alive through PSAL. So if anybody wants to know how to get their schools involved, I'm here. You can see me, Kiva. Thank you.
I'm excited everybody's here and came out today. My name is Lauren Walker. I want to thank the Women of Color at Arts and Lincoln Center for having this special event. It's been a long 2 days. I'm very tired. I'm very excited. But it's important that, as these young ladies said, that there's an aspect of double dutch that's also art. And to answer your question about the schools program, PSL has a very prominent program. We're doing programs within the YMCAs and the after-school programs, and also lately, for all of the young ladies who jumped till the street lights went on, there has been an immense explosion of activities in fitness programs and fitness centers around the country as well. So definitely stay active, jump double dutch, and contribute to community. And you can go to nationaldoubledutchleague.com.
Good evening. I enjoyed hearing the comments that folks made about double dutch, both on stage and as well as in the audience. And for those of you who are not really familiar with it, there is a lot of things going, but the most important thing that I really wanted to speak on is the fitness piece. It's fun, but it also provides all young people, whether it's boys or girls, fitness opportunities. And so I know that a lot of programs that I do with young folk, my main piece is to make sure that young people understand that in order to do any sport, you have to be fit. And the best way to do that through double dutch is to talk to young women and young boys about how they're able to do all of these tricks, but you also have to fuel the body properly. And so that's a big component that I usually incorporate with my team members and parents to make sure that young folks need to understand that they have to fuel their body with water, proper nutrition, and of course, a good attitude. So this is why we are really hoping and moving forward that double dutch will definitely move to the next level of health, wellness, and performance.
I wanted to add to that real quickly that we were talking earlier about how we don't see kids playing in the street as much as we used to before. They're sometimes playing video games, or they're on the computer or whatever. So it is important for us to have the youth see double dutch, participate in it, especially as girls start getting older, 14, 15, 18, because I remember seeing older teens jumping rope. And I teach in the after-school programs through the DOE. I'm in the high schools, and a lot of the girls that come to the programs can't do a cartwheel, can't do a forward roll, can barely keep up. And so I think that there is a need for this fitness element to be spoken about, because I think a lot of our children are sedentary. They just sit and they get on their computer or on their phones, and they're not as active like when we were younger. We were jumping over fences, climbing trees, on the monkey bars, jumping double dutch, hopscotch even, which is also an activity that is physical. And so I think it's important for double dutch to start reaching and showing as an example that we are an amazing being if we're physical. When we're not, then all the other health issues start to come in. So I just wanted to say that.
Hi. My question is for the panel. What do you attribute to this global awareness of double dutch, and how do you feel about it? How did it go from the pavements of the Bronx to Argentina?
And I'm going to speak just from what I felt when I first saw it. There's something that hooks you when you watch someone get in between two ropes and not get hit and not fall and not trip. Their bodies, their badass attitude, the confidence. I wanted that. I wanted that. And so I think that when you, just like hip hop, it goes to another country, people are seeing young people of color who are supposed to be nothing, illiterate, dumb, going to jail on drugs, blah, 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 blah. And they're amazing. And so when you watch this, you're like, man, if they beat the odds, I can do it too. And I think that's the message that goes out whenever a person of color does something that is like mind-blowing. Everybody's like, oh, wow, well then me too. Because if he can or she can, I can. And so a lot of the people who gravitate to double dutch or gravitate to hip hop or, you know, they're just convinced that if these people who've been oppressed, if these people who are considered the lowest of the low are shining so brightly, I can do that too. And so I feel like whenever I've gone to other countries and they're doing hip hop or they're doing double dutch, it's not that upper class, it's not that upper crust, you know, fabulous, glamorous people doing it. The people who gravitate are the ones who also have been stepped on and oppressed, and they're like, no, I'm down with them. Whatever they're doing in America, I'm down with that, because this is how they are getting past the odds. And so I feel like when I first saw double dutch, I was like, oh, I want to be like that. And I think that that's what people grab. I think that's what people get when they watch something like double dutch.
I think also, African American culture is America's greatest export. And it has always been. And I mean, whether it's, you know, our music, our dance, our style, we just rock it. People just want it. It's true.
And I think to this day, I think double dutch hasn't been like changed. You know, like I look at hip hop dance and I look at the way, and I gotta say it, the way stripper culture has taken over hip hop dance for girls. That wasn't how we first did it, but somehow it's been changed. But when you look at double dutch, like it has not been adulterated. It is still pure and powerful. And so I feel like that's a real redeeming quality of double dutch. Whereas hip hop, like I still have my misgivings with some of the way we're being portrayed. But
To your point, you're right. Double dutch hasn't been, although we all remember, those of us remember double dutch on the McDonald's commercial. So that is, so you
Those
see
ladies
it.
are here, as a matter of
Sorry?
fact. Those ladies are here.
They are where? Stand up. Where? Stand up, stand up. I want to know. Who was in the McDonald's commercial? Please. Yes.
Oh, royalty, royalty.
Oh my God. No. Legends in the house. So we see it on the McDonald's commercial, but to Rockefeller's point, double dutch did not become commercialized and co-opted and corporatized. So it still has a beautiful, strong, pureness to it, and then the evolution of it in terms of the tricks and the precision that has elevated. And it also is an art form where you can get in where you fit in. You don't have to be the one that does 5 flips or 2 flips or whatever. You can get in, jump, and get out. And I think that's also why it retains its popularity and has gone international, is wherever you are, you can bring your own flavor to it. So it has a foundation, and then you can innovate from there.
Yeah, so thank you for that. When we talk about Double Dutch, we're inevitably talking about the traditions of Black people, right? So, the Black aesthetic is something that has been copied, appropriated, profited from. And as Double Dutch ascended to an international stage, how do you feel that the inhabitants of urban communities, particularly here in New York City, which is at that time, gentrification has shown us differently, was largely populated by Black and brown people, really can reclaim this tradition that was rooted in our communities?
In the schools, because I think the young people are not, double dutching anymore. So we need young people to continue the legacy and the tradition of it. Is that what you're asking? How can we up-level it to not, remain in a place of nostalgia of what it was, but what can it be? I'm also thinking about, I didn't know that Africa Bambaataa brought Double Dutch to the tour. Can you imagine that?
No, that was Fab Five Freddy who put that tour together.
So I also would encourage, artists, other artists that are not, whatever form you're in, to include this in your art practice. And I will also look for opportunities just as a curator and producer to do the same.
Yeah.
I couldn't let that moment go.
Okay, thank you.
Reclaim my time.
Reclaiming my time.
Under the waters.
No, I don't know if it's ours, right? So technically we don't really need to reclaim it. I think that we need to sustain it. Like really, we need to be in it in a way that, because we're always innovating within ourselves, like in our own communities, like you can take it. I think that that's part of our culture, is that everything that we make, somebody takes, and then we just make some more. There's more where that came from. There's more where that came from. And that's the amazing thing about us. It's like, damn, how did they do that? But oftentimes we do let go of those things that get kind of like siphoned off of us. And I think it's because we don't really truly understand the value and the beauty and the heritage that's in it. And so I was been sitting here and I was thinking about, I'm seeing young girls and boys here, and there's such a beauty in our culture, in the way we learn how to braid hair, and the way we learn how to cook, or the way we learn how to jump rope or dance. There is something phenomenal when you see your mother or your auntie be like, "What? I can do that," whether it's a dance or jumping in a rope, or you go like, "Oh my God." And oftentimes we're not encouraged to see that as valuable. And that's why I think that Camille's work was so profound, because it was so beautiful. And oftentimes when we're growing up, we don't feel beautiful. We don't feel like what we're doing is valuable because nobody is saying, wow, that's brilliant. So I think that's one of the ways that we can actually reclaim it, is for us to actually value it in a way and understand the history, pass that on, that you are beyond just the hashtag, like live in the hashtag, every day. I think that that's the only way that we can, because they're gonna take. They are. But if we stay rooted in ourselves in a certain way, we can do this all day long.
Yeah.
We could.
My challenge is that validation often comes from the outside. So what then?
I think and I can speak just from breakdance, because I know at some point, not all of you know that it kind of died. Y'all know it. Like, you didn't see it anywhere. I know now you see it all the time. You see it in the subways, right? In your face, in the subway car, you see it. But there was a time when it died. And it really took us to say it's not gonna die, and they're not gonna fade this out. And this is way too much amazingness to just let someone say, oh, that's the 80s. And so we had to continue to bring it to new places, galleries, museums, libraries, and had to continue to push schools, colleges. I mean, I know you know that in colleges now there's a hip hop department in a lot of these like Ivy League schools. And so we have to be able to jump in on these new technological trends, jump in, like she's saying hashtag, some of you may be like, what's that? We have to be able to push forward the clips from this weekend that you see, that you witnessed, use your phone, capture a team jumping, put it on your social media and say, aren't they amazing? They'll be here, or they'll be there, or, because this is how it actually starts to happen in this generation. Before it was word of mouth and come with me and I got tickets. Now it's you have to push the video clip, whether it's 6 seconds, 12 seconds. Look at these people, aren't they amazing? Oh, these people are from London, these people are from, and that starts to appear in news feeds, and that's where a buzz starts to be created. And so I know that I'm already going live with everything that everybody's saying. I've been like trying to capture the clips. I'll be here tomorrow, I'm checking things out. Because in my world, people were like, double dutch? And I was like, please don't give me that. Please. Because, you know, people were like, breakdance? A long time ago, they're like, people still breakdance? Yeah. But it's up to me now, and I feel like I really do want to carry this torch and push. So even throughout next week and the week after, I'll still be putting up these clips of double dutch within the breakdance feed that I put out so that people get it. This is also part of our urban indigenous history, because I'm from here, so I should be proud of everything that comes from here and be able to present it to the world like, isn't this amazing? Take a look, just 6 seconds, 12 seconds, take a look. This is the name of the team. So really it's on us to use these new techniques.
I like that, urban indigenous. Can we start a hashtag with that? Hashtag.
Urban indigenous. We are indigenous to this land right now.
So Rockefeller talked about, you know, being able to sustain Double Dutch tomorrow night. We're having a big concert in which she's featured with her company, Full Circle Productions, where we're really bringing back the what's the word I'm looking for? The merge between Double Dutch and hip hop, and you're going to see some amazing things. So we really hope that you stick around tomorrow evening after the competition. And Rock, you want to talk a little bit about like what people might see on stage as far as Double Dutch and as integrated into.
Well, Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, right? T-shirt I'm wearing. Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen is like an annual concert that celebrates women in hip hop, beatboxing, DJing. Rapping and dancing every year, March, for International Women's Day at Ostos Community College in the Bronx. And so women of color in the arts hired them to do an hour slot so that there can be like a tribute from us, from the girls, from the women who do hip hop, honoring the contributions of the women, the girls who do Double Dutch. And so the MC is going to talk about, you know, their experience with Double Dutch, the beatboxer, and my section is hip hop dance with a little bit of breaking, and we're going to be mimicking a little bit of the Double Dutch without the rope, because we definitely know that the masters are in the house, so we don't want to like trip up in the rope and be like, so it's like invisible rope. And showing you the overlap of some of those steps and some of the hip hop steps that we do. So that's in that Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen section. I think it's at 6:30.
Starts at 6:30 tomorrow night.
So it's an hour of hip hop honoring Double Dutch.
Right. So we're right at about time. We can open up the floor for a few more questions if there are some. Yes.
Thank you. I'm delighted to hear that Double Dutch is going international and the excitement of being Olympic. I wonder, though, what your feelings are about the fear of being, or the concern about being appropriated and adulterated as it goes mainstream within the American culture and the white community catches up with this wonderful endeavor, and what the impact of that could be on the experience.
He went right to it, didn't he? We were like skirting around it. We were on the West Side Highway. Brought it right here. What are y'all gonna do when white people start doing it?
we're going to do exactly what Teresa said and continue to innovate and continue to create. You know, you can see in all, you know, mainstream culture, sprinkles of hip hop and language, you know.
Sprinkles?
Well, yeah, more than, trying to be polite. So with you know, as propagators of culture and innovation, we just continue to innovate, and we can't live in fear, you know, that something is going to be taken. We just have to continue to create.
And we have to be wiser with the choices that we make when we come to the table. So we want people to come to the table, but we have to be sure about the chips and our cards when we go to play poker with whoever's coming to the table, especially now. When anybody comes to me and says, I want break dancers for, and I want the head spin, and Rock, can you wear something a little more, you know? I'm like, no, I'm not wearing anything skimpy, because that's not what I wore when I was breakdancing. You want stripper? Go over there. So I have to be wise with the decisions I'm making, because a lot is riding on my decision. And my decision can't just be, I want to make money. It's got to be, whoa, there's kids coming behind me, generations, and if I mess it up here, I'm messing it up back there. And so y'all will be wiser and make sure that when they say, well, when you double dutch, can you wear the little shorts? Or can you wear the push-up bra when you're doing the double dutch jumping? You'll be wiser. You'll be like, that's not what we wore. Sorry.
You know,
we just have to be wise.
I think also that's part of the reason why being in spaces like Lincoln Center and being reviewed by papers like the New York Times are really important, because oftentimes African American and Black history isn't actually documented properly, and credit isn't often given where it should be in the forums that matter, right? So there should be a very visible double Dutch canon, right? So that's what you do. Like, we have to make sure that the history is told, but it's also in spaces that are validated in such a way that you understand where it came from and there's no mistake, that you are the original. Right? So everybody borrows everything from everything. That's cool. But when you don't value the source, that's the problem. So
reclaiming my time.
So that for me would be the only answer, because you can't stop people from it's beautiful, people want to do it. I get it. You're excited. That's not the problem. That's not the problem with appropriation. That's different. But when we are respected, acknowledged for being the creators of it, and that part is not being scrubbed, right? That's where I think we need to really be, you know, check people. Be like, and that's where being in those spaces, you can't be scrubbed, because once you've done that, it's there, you know, and it exists.
We also have to, within the culture, recognize who is the expert and claim that expertise, so that when someone does want it, they know they're going to the expert, they're going to the source, and not someone who saw it on YouTube and practiced it, and now they're running with it.
Hello, and I'm a native New Yorker, and thank you all. This is the best forum I have been to in a long time, and that's what I do. I love forum. You've covered a lot of topics. I'm here supporting my friends who are on the Tigers team, and I'm a martial artist. I've been doing martial arts since I was 7, so I do understand women and Black women in sports, dance, breaking, and so forth. I, however, am a spectator when it comes to double dutch. I love it, love the art, I photograph it, video it, but for some reason, I just did not care to practice. It takes a lot of practice, stamina, and I got to give it to all of you girls and women who have participated and brought this art to the forefront internationally as it is today. And also kudos to David Walker's mother and family for being here, and everyone else who's here. Wife, oh, his wife, because I was like, she looked really young. I wanted to see what David Walker looks like. But I'm being long-winded, but what I wanted to say is I don't have to repeat anything all of you have said. And to the gentleman over there about appropriation, those words should not really come up in an art form. But this is America, this is the world, and there are a lot of sides of reality. There's the reality of fun and games, double dutch, and what sports and everything music brings. But then there's the reality of what you said about currency, making our art, or everyone's art, making art valuable, period. Everything has value. And I'm really a more inclusive person. Inclusion, I'm an adaptive phys ed teacher with New York City. That was my past. So I'm inclusion oriented. Special ed and bringing everyone, not a lot of competition, but I know these double dutch women and women in sports, period, they seem more competitive than men in sports. But there has to be a sense of competition. But I don't have a question. I had this comment just to say thank you. Thank you for being who you are, women in the sports, and we need to encourage each other more. As the young lady said something about why don't we, as a culture, why do we need outside validation? But we do. Just by acknowledging what they're wearing. Nobody might have gave them a smile. Nobody might have said, you look good today. So in a school or wherever we are, we just encourage each other more. And if our mothers and sisters, would say, because they've been challenged, we've been challenged. So as far as the black culture goes, there's not a lot of, nobody's taking, from my opinion. We're the giving type. Africans, the culture just gives it away. We've given so much away. But in reality, like you said, the other side of reality is reminding our culture, our people, our women, all women, black, white, Spanish, everyone, Asian women. Every culture has challenges. Just to all acknowledge all these challenges. And maybe during Double Dutch, just to have more conversation about all these challenges every culture, every race has. For all the races outside of black culture, black races, there's interracial people have challenges. Just be more kind. And I'm going to keep this mic and take it home and jump with it.
Thank you. I think that's the perfect place to end this conversation. So bottom line here is Double Dutch has value as an artistic practice and in a cultural tradition. Value it. Thank you, ladies, so much. Appreciate you. Thank you to all the pioneers here in the house. Double Dutch. At 3:30 p.m. in like 15 minutes, we're about to screen this amazing documentary by Skip Bloomberg, Pick Up Your Feet. We encourage you to stay around and see something amazing. Thank you. I think the questions are done, unfortunately.
One more question, I think. Nope, she's reclaiming her time.
Oh, okay. Reclaiming my time, go ahead.
Hello. My name is Lisa. I'm from Jumpers Personified Team. I'm gonna be quick. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I would have got here if I had to walk. I wasn't gonna miss this for nothing. And I represent. I'm trying to teach it in the South. We getting there. I'm working with them. And when I showed them that Pick Up Your Feet video, the little girls that gave me a hard time, they was like soldiers after that. Okay, what we need to do this. So I'm trying. We're going to get it somewhere at the Olympics. Wherever she said we need to get it, we're going to get it. We're going to have to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, audience. Thank you, National Double Dutch League. Thank you, everybody. Stick around.